Class is in session. Hey everybody, it is just me. You get just me today. Guys, welcome to Unlearn 16. Class is in session. Um I I didn't know what I was going to talk about this week because my head has been spinning, and you guys all know why my head's been spinning, and if not, I'm going to get into it anyways. And then I thought, well, Joanna, that's what you talk about. You talk about the overwhelming tsunami of insanity and terror and hope and chaos that transition brings to your life. You know, the last time I felt this, and to this kind of degree, was during a divorce, right? A divorce that I was like blindsided by. I had no idea, and I was sort of tumbled into this. Oh God, guys! Like, for those who don't know, the process of divorce and all of that happened in December prior to COVID. And then in December, and then going into January, and then by March, we were in lockdown. And I was having to negotiate and figure out how to transition from an 11-year marriage into being single, into being in isolation, the house stuff, the money stuff, the relationship stuff, the being alone stuff, taking care of my mom and my grandma stuff. And it was just like, it was so overwhelming. I'm going to tell you this. It was so overwhelming that I didn't sleep for like 3 months. And all I did, shout out to Shonda Rhimes, is watch again and again and again episodes of Grey's Anatomy from start to finish. From start to finish. I would put it on in the day, I would put it on at night. There was something about it that soothed my soul. And slowly but surely, I sort of stumbled through it. I mean, my friends were amazing, my family was amazing, therapy, oh, it's a godsend. And all of these things that I went through, and I really thought it might kill me. Like, I genuinely thought at some point, I'm like, I think I'm gonna, like, I don't think my body and my mind can, like, make it through all of this. It's just so overwhelming. But then I realized something about myself, is that part of who I was up until that point was somebody that was constantly trying to get in the way, to mitigate, to slow down, to control change. And when it was ripped from my control, when it was ripped out of my hands, and I felt like I was free falling, 3,000 feet up or whatever, and when I didn't hit the ground, guys, it was one of the most magical things I never knew I needed, and I never knew was going to actually open up worlds. Not just worlds because I came on TikTok and I started social media and all that. Not that. The social media is the expression of the freedom I then got. I didn't know I needed it. I didn't know that I needed something so incredibly, seemingly catastrophic at the time to happen, that I had tried for so long to contain and limit and control and fix. And when I finally couldn't hold on to it, again, not my choice, ripped out of, it's like the rock eater. You know the rock eater from Neverending Story? When I have such big, strong hands, and they get ripped out of. Anyway, if you don't understand that reference, for the love of God, go watch the Neverending Story. What have you been doing with your life? But when that happened, and I stood up again, what I realized in that moment, and I just keep realizing it more and more every day. Transition is brutal, painstaking, arduous, like a nightmare with seemingly no end. But change, my friends, change is beautiful. And when I realized the transition wasn't going to kill me, I finally woke up to something in myself that I never knew existed. I always thought I was a confident person, a good person. I thought that I did well at my job. I thought I was a good friend, a good daughter, a good granddaughter, a good partner. And what I realized is I might have been good, but I wasn't great. And the reason why I wasn't great at those things, at those relationships, at life in general, the reason why I wasn't great is because I was so afraid of anything changing or shifting or altering in any way, shape, or form. I couldn't exist in the moment, and therefore I couldn't be great. I couldn't let go of all of the things I wanted to control. And since I was that person, everything was harder. And everything about me was limited, right? I always kind of wanted to do something a bit bigger, but I never really knew what, and I wasn't going to risk this, and what was I going to do over here? How could I possibly? I was an in the box kind of girl. And when, I was ripped out of the box was crushed, and I was thrown out into the wilderness of, I don't know, spheres and and rhombuses. My metaphors are getting a little shaky. And I had to start looking at the world in a different way. I understood how incredibly powerful that was, and as a result, how incredibly powerful I could be. You know, going through losing my grandma. Just, and guys, I still look. I will still cry. I will still have moments where I miss her in my friggin' soul. And then I step back and I say, Joanna, you were trying, you can't limit. That's not the way life works. You can't control it. So I got to let go. I have to let it transition. And I have to let who she is in my heart, in my soul, in my mind, that gets to be forever. And I have to let go of the notion that unless it was the way it was, it doesn't mean anything, or it doesn't matter, or it's not powerful, because I was wrong. I was wrong. And the more that I step into doing scary things, the more that I step into doing plays and coming on here and doing a podcast and doing TikTok and lip syncing and buying guitars and playing in the middle of the street in Oshawa, and the more I step outside of who I always thought I was because I was so controlled, the more I step into who I actually am. And so now, you guys know this, faced with my school closing, 21 years, working at the same place, God, did I hold on to that with both hands. My big rock hands, such strong. I'm sorry, same metaphor. Never ending story. Please go watch it. So not only did I do that, and I really held on, because there was a lot of points at that within that school where I'm like, maybe I should go, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. And something kept me bound and tied. Loyalty, absolutely. I mean, Wayne was a lovely soul. My community at that school. But what really bound me there, guys, was what had always been. That's what had always been can be this beautiful, beautiful thing, guys, or it can be a trap. The nostalgia or the tie to something familiar isn't necessarily a good thing. It's so funny because I talk about tradition all the time, and I talk about how I don't like tradition unless there's real purpose for it. But when I'm in it, when I'm in the middle of the tradition and the tradition makes me feel good and safe and insulated and all bubble wrapped, I don't want to let go of that tradition. And if that tradition's working in the same place, under the same structure, with the same sense of security for 21 years, all of a sudden I'm so embedded in the tradition that I'm not even questioning is this the best we can be? So what has to happen for Joanne? I'll tell you what. Well, A, talking in the third person, which is just annoying. It has to be the box. I had to be pulled out of the box. The box had been crushed. I had to go exist in some rhombuses. And now it happened very, very quickly and very out of the, I don't want to say out of the blue, but But it's not like I was in a fairyland about how well the school was doing economically. I just didn't know exactly where we were. And we get a May 1st, you're fired. We're terminating, obviously. School is closing. Goes out to the kids. And in that moment, Ryan and I looked at each other and we got to decide this is over. But then we got to decide, what do we do? Do we try to save Metro the way it was? Or do we take everything that we are and everything we think we might be able to be, find people to back us who might agree with what we envision, who might agree with what our heart is and what our teaching philosophy or educational philosophy is and what we've done so far? And are we going to step out and start it? Now, some of those decisions were made for us. I'm not going to lie. There would have been a safety in, okay, we're just going to take over the school and we're just going to do this and that, and nothing changes. But there's something beautiful in the transition. And in my opinion, there is absolutely something necessary that has to happen right now for Ryan and I to get to, and our staff and our students, to get to something great. And the funny part is, guys, I'm not afraid of it. I'm not devastated. I'm not leveled. I don't think this is the end. I think this is a beautiful, beautiful beginning. Do I know if it's going to work out? No. Of course not. But do I know that even if it doesn't, then something else will happen and begin? Yes. Now, I do know we're starting a new school, and I promise you I will give you the name of that school as soon as I can. But the key is what we've managed to do in such a short time, not because I tried to control, not because I tried to limit, not because I was in fear of the transition or of the change, but because I said to hell with it. Ryan and I looked at each other and say, what do we want? What do we envision? What do we see? Let's just go down all the roads we can go down to possibly get there. Does that make sense? I think this beautiful idea of what we can possibly have if we let go of this idea of how it should play out. Guys, it's flat out. And it's not that I'm not scared. It's not that I'm not, but I'll tell you what, I'm like 80% excited, 20% scared. Like 75% like intrigued and fascinated and ready to do all these things I've never done before. And like 25%, you get that little, am I good enough? Am I smart enough? And then I start thinking, well, I can pull on this intelligent person and this brilliant person. I can do all of these different things. And then you start to realize, holy crap, if I just get out of my own way and understand all the power that I bring to a scenario, and at the same time, because I'm old enough now to understand that I don't know everything, and I can very comfortably listen to other people and other opinions and other viewpoints in order to collectively build something fantastic. Yeah. I feel pretty good about that right now, guys. I feel pretty powerful about that. So here we are. Here we are on the precipice of it, right? On the edge. It's not built yet. Everything's getting finalized and we're going to tell parents and solidify everything this week and say, this is what we're doing. Here's the timelines. Here's what it's called. The whole 9 yards. And guys, I've never been so excited to be standing on the edge of a cliff. Make no mistake, guys, I'm standing on the edge of a cliff. I really, really, really am. But I really believe that the paragliding right off that cliff is going to be beautiful, powerful, and life-changing. You know, I sit with my kids and we talk about it together. Do you know how cool it is to sit down with students and ask them what's important to them? Do you know how powerful it is to create a baby, like to pull from this community and be able to help create a community of joint learning and input and ideas and empowering these beautiful little young minds and saying what you think matters for what we're going to create. So tell me, what do you care about? Tell me what matters to you. And every day, the more people I talk to, the more parents that are beautiful, the more kids that are giving their ideas, the designing, the physical designing is one thing, but the mental designing of courses and teachers and changing up curriculum and making it more cross curricular and making more integration of subjects is a beautiful thing. And I can't help but thinking I wouldn't have made it through this had it not been for such, ridiculous and relatively painful devastation, because I wouldn't have been ready for this. This would have leveled me. So I've never been one to talk about fate. I've never been one to talk about, well, I do enjoy the word serendipity, but the notion that all of these things had to happen in sequence for me to be able to stand here right now and do what I'm about to do. And I really think, and the message I really want to get through is this: whatever way you can step out of the way of transition and embrace the change that follows, I promise you, I swear to you, that on the other side of that, you will be more you, more powerful, more capable, and more present than you ever were before. That does not mean you don't fight for things that you want to keep in your life. That's not what I'm talking about. I am talking about being aware that the only constant we have in this world is change. And the harder you want to step in the way of it in order to keep things what they are, the more you are standing in the way of what brilliance can exist just around the bend if you let the possibility actually play out. So whatever it is you guys are thinking about, whatever it is you guys are going through, whatever transition, whatever roadblocks, whatever obstacles, whatever painstaking, life-altering, roads you are going to have to go down, I swear to God, go through, go down it, because at the end, no matter what, you will find a better, more powerful, more amazing you. And that change is unstoppable. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I will see you next Tuesday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Dismissed.